What's going to happen? You having a problem with Saltburn? Shh. Quiet luxury. Keep it to yourself, because what are you going to do when Emerald Fennell calls you about her next project where you play Carrie Mulligan's coworker in the bridal section of Harrods, and then Act 3 takes a sexually violent turn and you have to pretend to be surprised by that turn.
Hey everyone, welcome to Ajay Discusses Movies, a show in which I discuss movies both old and new. Today we're discussing a new movie that just dropped in the theaters this past Valentine's Day holiday weekend, and that movie is titled Wuthering Heights, directed by Emerald Fennell. Emerald Fennell is a director who's also made films such as Promising Young Woman, starring Bo Burnham and Carey Mulligan, as well as Saltburn, a film starring Jacob Elordi. She's re-teamed up with Jacob Elordi to give us Wuthering Heights, starring Margot Robbie, Chau, Allison, Oliver, a pretty stacked cast. The film is about Margot Robbie playing Catherine, a woman who is from Wuthering Heights, a rather impoverished family, who's down on their luck, not making that much money, failing to make ends meet, as she marries the famous and wealthy Linton family. She decides to marry Edgar Linton, which pisses off her childhood friend and secret lover named Heathcliff, played by Jacob Elordi. The film is 2 hours and 16 minutes long, depicting the trials, the tribulations of love and romance, and how extravagance and money can influence decisions to a way. This film is a follow-up to the 2011 adaptation of Wuthering Heights. Wuthering Heights is the book that was written by Emily Bronte, but this film is the follow-up to the 2011 adaptation starring Kaya Scoladaro, I think her name is. But we're here to discuss this adaptation of Wuthering Heights. So I did watch this movie, and I will be quite honest with you, I'm rather conflicted on this movie. I truly didn't like it. There are admirable parts to this movie, I will give you that. I think there are positives to this movie. I think in terms of the visuals, it's a very stunning film. The cast did good with what they had, but the daunting 2 hour and 16 minute runtime to this film, mixed in with the pretty bad writing and directing of this film, overstayed its welcome for me. There are good parts of this film. Let's get into the positives first, and then we'll obviously get into the negatives. I thought the cinematography was amazing, right? Linus Sandgren lensed this film. He is responsible for lensing films such as Babylon, as well as La La Land. He's also slated to be the cinematographer for the upcoming Dune film as well. He knows what he's doing, and it looks amazing. The costume design was also great. Obviously, it didn't really match up with the time of place, but it was good. It served what it needed to serve, and I felt as if the costume design was amazing in this film. The set design was also great between Wuthering Heights as well as the Edgar Linton estate. I thought both of those parts were good as well. At times, this film kind of felt like a play because there wasn't that much in between those places, between those areas, between Wuthering Heights and Edgar Linton's place. It felt very much like a stage play. But we'll get into the negatives later. But I felt as if when it came to this movie, it didn't really know what to do with its actors. And we'll get into the negatives later. But we'll start off with the positives as well. This film is filmed on film cameras. They're using Panavision 35mm to film this movie. And it's shot on a 1:85:1 aspect ratio. And when you watch it, when I watched it on the Dolby format at my local AMC, it looked great. It looked amazing. And the score was good as well. Not the Charlie XCX songs. The Charlie XCX songs were tolerable, but the score by Anthony Willis I thought was great as well. Where this film falls flat for me was the writing and the directing and the pacing of this film. This cast is good. Jacob Elordi is good. People may say he's miscast because apparently in the book it's played by an Indian person, and a lot of people feel slighted by that. Honestly, I would feel slighted by that if the movie was good, right? If the movie was good and they decided to cast a non-brown person, then I'll be like, okay, that stings. But if the end result is this film, it's fine. Keep Jacob Elordi. It's fine. It's good that our people were not in this film whatsoever because it's not good. So I don't mind the casting for this film. I felt like as if Jacob Elordi did good with what he had. Margot Robbie, I thought, absolutely stole the show with her performance. But again, with the rest of the cast, it just felt as if they didn't know what to do in the film. And part of that blame should go on the writer and on the director for this film. It just felt soulless. It felt emotionless. And while watching this film, it was really hard for me to garner any sort of interest within any of these characters that were on screen. Now, I know in the book, Wuthering Heights, it's supposed to be like that, where no one is likable. But I feel as if there should be a difference between the film version and the book version. Things that work well in book form don't work well on screen, and vice versa. So I don't mind a difference between the film version and the book version. As long as the film is good, I'm happy about that. You know, there are differences between Prisoner of Azkaban the book and Prisoner of Azkaban the movie. But what makes Prisoner of Azkaban that much great of a movie is because of Alfonso Cuarón's direction. And Emerald Fennell just doesn't have that within this film. There are other negatives to this film that I can think of as well. For me, I know this will be slightly controversial of an opinion, but the Charlie XCX songs really don't work well within the movie. I understand why they had her, right? They want to market this movie to a younger audience. They want to make sure that the younger audience is hip to the music and are able to watch along and enjoy it. But there are times in the movie where there'll be a needle drop of a Charlie XCX song, and it takes me out of that moment. It takes me out of that situation because it doesn't really line up with the times. You know, it just doesn't really line up with what it's trying to go for. Now, if you contrast this with Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet, even though that is a more modernist take on Romeo and Juliet, it's still fun and engaging. With Charlie XCX songs in this movie, it not only just takes me out of it, but it leaves me scratching my head why. Because they're trying to play it straight. They're trying to play as if it's in the 1700s. So, or in the 1500s, whenever this movie is played in. But it just took me out of it. I just didn't really enjoy this movie. I want to come out here and say I really like this movie, but it just wasn't the case. So, all of that is to say, if you're into Emerald Fennell's movies, you may enjoy this. To me, it just seems as if she just didn't know what to do with the story. She just didn't know what to do with the characters on screen. She was given a boatload of money to make a movie, and she made a movie. And I'm sure this will make its money back in the box office, if it hasn't already. But I just felt uninvested in the story. And part of it is because it just took way too long to get to the point. It just took way too long. And not only that, but this film is supposed to be about the debauchery, the grotesqueness of, you know, sexual escapades and the like of that nature. And it felt as if they kind of pulled back on that for some reason. It's an R-rated film, but this felt like the most PG-13 R-rated film ever. Even the more sort of graphic scenes in the movie, I don't know, it just felt as if they weren't as graphic as they should have been. Maybe it's just because I'm watching a lot of horror movies or because I'm watching a lot of film in general where I've seen far worse stuff happen and far more outlandish stuff occur on screen, but it just didn't feel like an R-rated movie. I don't know, I just felt like the rug was pulled behind me when I started to watch the movie. As soon as the opening credits rolled, it felt like someone just pulled the rug out of me and said, haha, you're watching a different movie. It wasn't the movie that I expected it to be with an all-star cast of this nature and with a director who's made 2 films that have received critical acclaim. The rest of the cast I felt did good. Chau was great. Allison Oliver was great, given with what they were given. But I don't know, it just felt off to me. So while watching this movie in theaters, by the end of the movie, I was kind of tired of the movie. I kept checking my phone. I kept having my mind wander elsewhere. I was still watching the film and still focusing on what was happening on screen, but it wasn't to the extent as, say, previous romantic films, romantic drama films that I know are not just at this level, but also better. By the end of the film, when it's revealed, and obviously, spoiler alert, so I will omit spoilers from this review, but by the end of the movie, when someone happens to reach into their afterlife, I heard sobs in the audience. I was like, sobs? Why are you crying in this movie? What part of this movie could ever elicit a cry out of you unless it's out of pure misery? Like, what? Why are you crying at the end of this film? There's nothing that's happened in this film to this point that should warrant you to have tears falling out of your eyes, right? I understand other films that will have tears fall out of your eyes, right? I understand that. A few of the films that Linus Sandgren has made, I can understand why you may cry. At the end of Babylon, I understand. At the end of La La Land, I understand. This film, no. None whatsoever. I just don't think it's the case. Honestly, while watching this film, I will say this, and this is the only positive I'll give to this film. Olivia Wilde's Don't Worry, Darling, I felt to me, was more entertaining than this film. It's not, I wouldn't say it's of this quality of a film, but at least it made me feel something while watching it. While watching it, I can at least watch it and think to myself, oh, I can rewatch it because there are aspects to this film that are funny. There are aspects of this film that are just hilarious and entertaining. The fullest extent. I didn't get that from this movie. And I think that's the most damning indictment of this film, is that there's not much in this film that is worth revisiting. And that will be my review for today. It is not a good film. I didn't enjoy it. But I'm sure there'll be an audience, because even though at my screening there were 10, 15 people at the very most, I watched this on a Sunday morning, so that explains why. The day after Valentine's Day. I'm sure in parts of this country, in parts of this world, people will enjoy this film. And I'm sure it'll get a cult-like following. I just won't be there to defend it as a cult film. Like, I'm sorry. I just can't. It's not for me. And I'm sure a lot of other people feel the same way. All right. That's it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. The bookshop has been updated with Nabokov's Pale Fire, probably my favorite Nabokov book of all time. Other than that, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next week. We'll discuss a film. We don't know which one, but we'll discuss a film. That's it for me. Bye.
Someone called the new Wuthering Heights movie Wuthering Heights.